Oh, not that dream again. Maybe I still need some answers. Time-consuming. Marvellous, a bouncer.
Hi.
Can you answer some questions about cocaine?
Who's asking?
I am, obviously. So how come you know so much about coke?
Because I work in a nightclub. This is where it goes on mostly.
How can you spot people on coke?
Just the obvious signs. Clenched jaw, wide eyes, behaviour.
Behaviour? What on earth do you mean?
Just makes you less inhibited, makes you do stuff that you wouldn't normally do, stuff that, you know, for a good reason your brain's telling you not to, you'd probably go and do.
Really? And how does it make people act?
Overexcited sometimes, a little bit arrogant, sometimes aggressive, sometimes quiet and nervous.
Well, that sounds glamorous, doesn't it?
I don't think so. Not something you've got to go and do in a toilet off a toilet seat. How can that be glamorous?
I was being sarcastic. Wait, they do it where?
Here you go, Pablo. This is where people spend their nights.
In the toilet? Of course they do. So where do they do the coke?
Here.
And where do they go to the loo?
Here.
That is vile.
This is pretty good, actually.
It really isn't.
Normally there's pee all over the floor, somebody might have thrown up in there.
Charming.
They're pretty bad, the nightclub toilets, but yeah, this is where they come.
And how often do they come in here?
Every half hour, 20 minutes, all through the night.
Sounds a brilliant way to spend your evening. So where do they actually snort it from?
Any flat surface they can find. And the only one I can see here is the seat.
The dirty, poo-smeared toilet seat.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
And I think I've just thrown up in my mouth. Went on a bit, but really knew his stuff and had this rather disturbing collection of crack pipes. Oh, I'm sorry, was I boring you? Well, goodbye then. Bitch. Brandon Block, disc jockey, producer... Ah! Did you hear that? Where was I? Right. Brandon Block, disc jockey, producer, disc jockey. I understand you know something about cocaine.
I do. I know very much. I had quite a lot of years' experience with cocaine, and I should tell you a bit about it.
I'd like that very much, Brandon. So what was your experience of cocaine like?
It just takes over everything, you know, especially for me, for this stuff. It took my life over. So I had no other avenues to explore, no hobbies, I ended up having no girlfriend, anything. It just that. That was it.
So how did the addiction begin? I
don't think when I first took it, in those days, I even thought about drug addiction. I had no idea what drug addiction was, I don't think. At 16, you don't think you're just, you know, you start your partying life and everything else, so you don't really even think about the fact that you could become addicted.
Did you realise you were becoming addicted?
I did realise that I was addicted, yes. But by then it was quite late on, and I'd also done a lot of damage to myself inside and mentally.
Cripes! What sort of damage?
I ended up getting various illnesses, including TB, yellow jaundice, which is hepatitis. I had kidney problems. I had lung problems.
Bloody hell!
I just used to try and take more cocaine to mask the pain that I was feeling, which in the end, unfortunately, doesn't work.
No kidding.
I was told that I had 2 weeks to live if I carried on the way I was, which was quite a shock. And I was also told that if I stopped immediately, i.e. in the next day, like that, then there was a chance for my survival, which I jumped at the chance.
You must be glad you stopped.
Of course I am. I'm still here, and I'm smiling at you.
Does that mean I can have a go on the decks, then?
Have you cut your nails? No. You'll scratch everything. I'm sorry.
It's a bit loud. Heathrow, my fourth favourite London airport. As you can tell by the massive hole in my stomach, I've had a rough time of it recently. Maybe you can tell me what happened to me.
You were transported to this country, where you were probably then taken into a dark room somewhere and your belly was cut open, and then the packages were taken out of your stomach.
It's a pretty rubbish way to start your day, I can tell you. Then what happened?
You were probably just left for dead, Pablo.
Typical. Man's best friend, my missing liver. It's always the dogs who get it in the neck. They should use cats.
I've seen all sorts of ways to smuggle drugs, Pablo.
Like what?
Some people will swallow packages and that will go into their stomach so that they can avoid the controls at airports and ports.
Human drug mules, but how much coke can a person bring in this way?
On average, some people will swallow maybe up to 70 to 100 packages inside them.
Gosh, is that safe?
It's a very dangerous activity because those packages can split while they're in your stomach and you can be dead within 15 minutes.
Yikes. But assuming they don't split, how do people get the packages out of their bellies?
Well, through a natural process, I'm afraid, Pablo.
No, you're saying what I think you're saying.
They'll go to the bathroom.
Yep, you are.
They'll fish it out through their feces. And once they've done that, the cocaine ends up on the street.
Ugh, that's disgusting. So they pull it out of there, it's covered in, and then people put it up there.
Pretty grubby, isn't it?
Grubby doesn't begin to cover it. Sounds like you've got your work cut out. Maybe I could lend a hand. I could be a sniffer dog.
Sorry, Pablo, the dogs we hire need to be a little bit more alive.
Thanks. That didn't hurt my feelings or anything. Well, I've seen a lot of people and I've heard a lot of stuff, but I'm still pretty confused. But I'll get to the bottom of this coke stuff, even if it kills... Even if it takes a really long time. Nothing's gonna stop me. Marvellous. Woke up this morning. Do-do-do-do. Found a hole in my chest. Do-do-do-do. I'm Pablo the drug mule dog. Do-do-do-do. And I'm feeling quite depressed. Hello there, Dr. Wood. So why would someone on cocaine need to see you?
Quite often people are very anxious and concerned because of the cocaine they've taken. They may have problems with chest pain. They may have a fast heart rate or feel that their heart's beating funnily.
Yep, that rings a bell. Sorry, you were saying?
Cocaine can put your blood pressure up and that can cause you to bleed into your brain, causing a stroke, or it can cause problems with the blood supply to your brain, cutting off oxygen and blood and therefore causing the brain tissue to die.
Blooming hell, that doesn't sound good. Can it kill you?
There are people who become very, very unwell and spend a long time in hospital as a result of taking cocaine, and some people do die as a result of the cocaine they've taken.
But clearly not everyone. Lots of celebrities are still around. I won't name names. We both know who I'm thinking of.
Not everyone has problems, but it's difficult to know whether you will have problems from taking cocaine, so it's a risk. You don't know what's going to happen.
While I'm here, do you think you could take a look at me? I've been feeling a little weird lately. I've been having these crazy dreams and... Ah!
Sorry, Pablo. I need to go because somebody else needs to see me now.
Oh, well. More important people to see than old Pablo, I suppose. Oh. Oh, that is fantastic. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. If ever I'm going to put an end to these awful memories, then I need some answers. It's time to talk to someone who actually helps people with drug problems. And so I'm here, at the youth centre.
Hiya, Pablo. Do you want to come this way?
Rightio.
You going to come?
Yep, just coming. Is it okay if I sit up here?
Of course you can sit on the bed, Pablo.
Are you going to analyse me?
No, not at all.
Because I keep having these dreams. Oh! But you're not interested in all that. So I've spoken to a lot of people about cocaine so far, but I still don't understand what the big deal is. Why do people do it?
Well, it's a stimulant, so it makes people feel quite up, quite hyper, very talkative, confident. So maybe if you're, an adolescent and you feel quite shy, maybe it's something that will boost you and make you feel a bit more kind of part of the crowd.
And what sort of people use it?
I think it crosses all parts of society, to be honest.
Then what's wrong with it?
It will make you feel hyped up when you're using, but the majority of the time, if you're going up, you have to come down. And the effects of that could be depression, paranoia, feelings of self-doubt, heightened anxiety.
So how do you deal with a come down?
You'll deal with a come down by taking more, so you'll just keep it going.
That sounds like it could become addictive.
It's classified as one of the most addictive substances that you could use.
So how do you get addicted?
Really, it would come about through someone maybe using on a special occasion as such, maybe a birthday or a one-off party. And from there, it starts to become maybe every Saturday night or on a Friday night. And it just slowly creeps into their life. So, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, then suddenly it's, a Tuesday won't do me any harm. And it just goes on from there.
But it's expensive stuff, isn't it? How do they afford it?
The fact is, they need to find money. So there's, the opportunity at home maybe to take stuff from the home or maybe steal from, their mum or dad some money to finance their use.
And when do you think people realise that they're addicted?
Initially, you probably wouldn't realise, but after a bit and you start to actually think about things and you find that, relationships are breaking down, the whole day's focus is trying to get drugs, you feel paranoid, you feel maybe upset, very anxious, depressed. Your friends aren't the same friends that you previously had.
Hand in my guts! Hand in my guts! So, I like your jumper. I think that went very well. It's a very big day for me today. I'm going to be interviewing some top brass from the old country. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, here we are. A little bit of home in the heart of Shishi London. L-O, the drug mule, D-R-U. ¿Te gusta hacer la entrevista en español?
If you think you can cope with my English, I think we can proceed in English.
Bueno. So, Mr. Minister, sir, quite a lot of cocaine comes from Colombia, doesn't it?
3/5 of the world cocaine are somehow produced or partly produced in our territory.
And what does this mean for the environment?
We're estimating that every year about 200,000 hectares are destroyed every year.
Gosh, well, 1 hectare is 2.47 acres, so 200,000 times 2.47 would be... Well, let me work this out.
We're talking about 200,000 hectares of natural forest, pristine forest that's been there forever.
We divide by 2.5... Why, that's bigger than Manchester, Birmingham and Liverpool. And Swindon.
Chopping down the forest is also contributing to climate change because 20% of the gases that are making the earth to warm up are actually the result of deforestation.
So this is actually quite bad for the environment then, isn't it?
Pablo, Colombia is considered the second richest country of the world in terms of biodiversity.
I know.
35,000 different plants live in our country.
They do.
Almost 2,000 different kind of birds live in our country.
Quite right.
So consuming drugs actually has a large impact on this richness of biodiversity.
So the woolly monkey, the bald wakari, the black-billed flycatcher, they're all in danger? Why do people keep doing coke if it causes so much harm?
I think they don't realize the impact of what they're doing. They think it's their personal business if they get drugged or not. They think they're not harming anyone, they're not doing any harm to other people, but they don't realize that they are causing a lot of distress.
Thank you, Minister. Before I go, you see Mitzi down there. Next time you're home, can you look her up for me? Check she's all right. Tell her I'm sorry.
Well, I'll see what I can do, Pablo.
That's all I can ask. Mitzi! So I thought it would be interesting to talk to someone who'd actually watched the whole addiction process take place firsthand in someone... Perfect. Ooh, a sofa. Marvellous. You sure I'm allowed up here?
Sure, Pablo.
So I'm trying to find out about cocaine. I understand you've had some experience with the drug.
My oldest daughter was a cocaine addict.
I see. How old was she when she became addicted?
I think she started trying about 15 years old, and she was an addict by 17.
Wow, that's quite young. What happened?
Well, when she first started taking drugs, we didn't really notice in the beginning. We weren't aware because I suppose maybe she was taking it once a week, and then it went on to twice a week, and then it went on to 3 times and 4 times and 5, and then every day of the week. And there were signs and symptoms, her appearance, she stopped washing, stopped looking after herself, things started missing in the house, she started hanging out with a lot of older, different people and became very secretive. And she started becoming physically and verbally aggressive to her younger brother and sister and myself.
At what point did you realise how serious the problem was?
One day, we got into an argument because she came home and I had started to get quite strict about how she behaved. And I said, Georgie, before you get into your bed, I know you're coming down from drugs, I need you to make your bed before you get into it, or you're not sleeping in your bed and you can go out and sleep in the rain. And she pushed me down the stairs and hit me with a fire extinguisher.
Ouch.
And elected to sleep outside in the rain rather than make her bed before she got into it.
Gosh, why did she treat you like this?
As she became addicted to cocaine, her relationship was with the cocaine. We didn't matter anymore. It was all about getting the cocaine and taking the cocaine. That was the only important thing in her life. And she'd lie to us, steal from us, do anything she could just to get hold of the money for the cocaine.
Why do you think she got into cocaine so heavily?
For years, I thought it was because I was a really bad mother and it was all my fault. But I guess she was like any other teenager. She thought, I'm just going to try this once, just this once. It won't be a problem. But it ended up becoming a really big problem.
I'm kind of scared to ask how she is now.
She's been clean for three years now. But it's been a hard, really, really hard, Pablo. I don't recommend it.
I'm glad you all managed to survive. This has left me feeling a little sad.
Oh.
Maybe tomorrow I'll want to settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. Oh, look, a cool person. Brilliant. So what do you do then?
I'm plastician, I'm a DJ, I play dubstep, bits of grime. I play on Rinse FM.
You play bits of grime?
I just play music for people who are having their night out, really.
Oh, a musician. I used to play the tuba, you know.
I think that it's had its day, you know, the whole tuba, the brass band, the barbershop quartet.
Fine. Moving on, so do you know much about cocaine then?
Yeah, you see quite a lot of drug use, obviously, like as a DJ.
Really? How can you tell when someone's on coke?
Normally, like, eyes are, like, popping out of their head and want to talk to you about things like groceries or what colour jacket you're wearing.
Sounds like a conversation with my mum. What's the problem with that?
I don't like the atmosphere they create. It's kind of like a bit of a negative energy, you know? Like, some people are overly aggressive and that's, like, never nice to be around.
Aggressive? In what way?
I've seen a few really vicious fights which I can only put down to someone who's charged on coke.
Charming. So fighting, rabbiting on like my mum. What's the point of coke then?
I just don't see the point. It doesn't look like it's that much fun. It's just, it's not going to enhance any kind. It's not going to stimulate visually or like sonically. So like it just doesn't look like that much fun, you know.
Speaking of fun, would you like to drop some beats with me?
Definitely. If you've got like any lyrics, if you could show me maybe some lyrics that you might have, you could definitely get on the mic.
I have, as it happens. I is Pablo the Mule, me be wicked old school. I don't have no insides, cause I is dead, you fool. I'm out on a mission, a dope inquisition. The quest is begun, a course must be run, even if me lack some internal organ.
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad, I just dropped a bomb.
Definitely could have a word with the management and the radio station, maybe get you down for a guest slot.
Rewind my selector. Boom! Rinse out. Big up, big up. MC Pablo on the mic. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop.
Hello, Pablo. How are you?
Good Lord, but you're a big fella, aren't you? You're massive. You look like the scary one off of The Shield. So, I understand you know something about cocaine. I
see coke on a daily basis. I see the effects of coke on a daily basis. So I know about coke.
So what sort of things have you seen then?
I know of a lady that had a serious coke problem. She had a habit of about £1,000 a day. Now, this lady used to go and buy her coke and take it home, put it on the table, cut it up, ready for using later on. And she had cats. She had 7 cats. And these cats would jump up on the table, because they're naturally inquisitive animals, aren't they?
They're vermin is what they are, with their clever paws. Evil. You can see it in their eyes. Grrr. Sorry.
And they'd wander around her and they'd walk through the cocaine. And when she'd finished using her coke and she had nothing left, she ended up licking the cat's paws because she thought they were covered in cocaine. She ended up snorting cat litter off the floor because she thought it was cocaine.
Gross.
She also started eating her tissue. She'd blow her nose and eat her tissue because there was coke in it, because she didn't want it to end. Not nice, is it?
No, as you so rightly say, that is not nice, particularly the bit about the cats. So what could happen if you caught me with coke?
If you were caught with coke, then sure enough you'd be arrested, taken back to the police station and probably put into a cell. The effects of the coke would be allowed to wear off and then you'd be dealt with.
Dealt with? That sounds scary.
If you've been arrested and you've been convicted of cocaine or using coke or being in possession of coke, that stays with you for the rest of your life.
And how would that affect you?
It affects your future travel, it affects your future employment. If ever you wanted to work with children, it affects you right throughout your life. It stays with you.
Travel? How does cocaine affect that?
You get a coke conviction, you can kiss goodbye to going to the States. They won't let you in America, and they certainly won't let you in Australia.
So, how do you catch people?
Yeah, we've got a machine which detects coke. When someone goes into a pub, we ask them to put their hand out, and we wipe across the palm of their hand. If someone's been using coke, they're going to have coke on their hands. They're going to be contaminated with coke, and we'll find it. And in fact, I've got one here, and while you're here, let's try it.
Well, what?
This is the machine we use to detect cocaine. I've got here a tin of swabs. We'll try it on you. We wipe it across someone's hand, or in this case, your nose, and we stick it in the machine there and we press the button and we wait and see what happens. That's positive. Where have you been?
Of course it's positive. Haven't you been paying attention? I was used as a drug mule. Sir? Taxi!
Where do you want to go to, mate?
St George's Hospital, please, driver.
So what's going on with that scar you got there? What happened?
You don't watch much telly, do you? I was used as a mule to smuggle cocaine. I don't suppose you know anything about coke, do you?
I don't know much about it personally, but plenty of people that get in the cab seem to know plenty about it.
What do you mean?
One minute they get in, they're sitting on the back seat, I look in the mirror and they're gone, and they're on their knees, face down, doing a line on the back seat.
The back seat? Oh, why am I not surprised?
What goes on that seat in the course of a week, you certainly want to put anywhere near your mouth or your nose.
What do you mean? What happens?
There where you're sitting right now, well, people being sick, people wetting themselves.
Wetting themselves? Lovely.
Even as far as people having sex on the back seat.
OK, starting to feel genuinely queasy now.
Yeah, I hope you're not bleeding on the seat there.
So do I. So, what type of person does coke in the back of a cab, then?
Well, they're all different sorts of people. They come out of a really trendy bar or a trendy party and they want to go to some really random council estate in the middle of nowhere to hook up with a guy on a moped at the bottom of a flight of stairs, 40 to £50 out their way, just to end up going back to the same party.
What a wonderful way to spend an evening.
They just talk a load of nonsense and they repeat themselves time after time after time.
Sounds like some of the taxi drivers I've had.
There you go, my friend. That'll be £12.80. How exactly will you be paying?
Yes, now about that. Holy moly, where'd you get all this stuff?
This all comes from club amnesty bins. It's been removed from people on their way into clubs all around the UK.
So what exactly are we looking at here?
General paraphernalia associated with using cocaine and crack.
At last, a man who knows his onions. Tell me, how pure is coke?
At the moment, the purity as it's imported is probably about 60%, but the purity on the streets can be in single figures, can be down as low as 9 or 10%.
9 or 10%? Good grief, man, why?
Purely to make money. If you buy a kilo of cocaine and you can turn that into 2 kilos or 3 kilos, you make 2 or 3 times the amount of money.
Greedy drug dealers, you shock me. So, what do they cut it with?
Well, Pablo, we see some inert things like sugars, but we also see some more worrying things like levamisole, boric acid, phenacetin, paracetamol.
OK, maybe let's go through these one at a time. I'm a dog, not a biochemist. What exactly is levamisole?
Levamisole is an anti-worming agent, a veterinary product.
Nice. OK, and boric acid?
Boric acid is a white powder. It's used as a cockroach killer.
Oh.
It's used for all sorts of domestic purposes. It's even used as a cleaning agent, for example.
Well, that doesn't sound too healthy, does it? What about phenylacetin? Flamajalalin?
Are you sure you've got that chemical name right, Pablo?
Phenylalanine.
Phenacetin tastes bitter, and perhaps that's a reason why that's added. That's a discontinued medicine. It used to be used to treat headaches, but it caused health consequences, so we banned it.
So out of all the substances that might be in a line of coke, which is the most dangerous?
I think without question the most harmful thing in cocaine is cocaine. You know, the compound itself causes quite significant health consequences.
Yeah, I'd call being disemboweled a significant health consequence. So, do you have any coke I could see?
If you promise not to snort it, then I'll show you what's in it.
Well, of course I won't.
These have been analysed, and we know these contain dimethyl terephthalate. That's the compound that's used to make plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles?
This is the other way we see it, in little white plastic bags.
Baggy!
That's absolutely typical. That's probably how you'd see it on the streets most often these days.
Ah, little bags of very expensive cockroach killer.